Welcome, everyone. Super excited to share with you the next hour or so. We will begin in a minute. I wanted to thank our dear friends and partners at UNFI for the opportunity and for having our second webinar for the year in the series of three. So we will have another one sometime in September. But with that being said, please, if you want to just share a couple of words before we begin.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. I'm excited for this. Like Moran said, this is the second. We'll have a third in September. And I'm excited about this, not only because, well, it's AppCard and they're such a great partner, but this is a great subject. We get lots of questions around ROI and how AppCard can make your business even more successful. So Yaron and Ellen are the experts, so I know that they'll cover all those topics. And I see a lot of retailers on who have specifically asked this question. So I'm excited you're here, and take it away.
Fantastic. And once again, thank you. And thank you for the prior questions. We definitely do hope to answer those. We've weaved them into our discussion. But with that being said, please do not hesitate to post your questions, and our team will monitor those, and we will try to address them as we go along. So without further ado, I'm Eran, and I'm the Senior Vice President at AppCard, responsible for our corporate development and strategic partnership, and as such, responsible for our relationship with UNFI that have seen a tremendous growth in the past few years, and for we are truly grateful. So with that being said, just a couple of words for those of you that may not be familiar with AppCard. Even though we are known to be a platform, we actually do not believe in loyalty per se. And the reason for which I'm saying that is that the shopper that enrolls into your rewards and loyalty program, that may not be, they may not be a loyal customer. Only if we are able to really make your data actionable, and this is obviously super important for our discussion today on ROI. So making your data actionable in order to build a relationship that entices a certain shopper behavior that will result with increase of their recency, their frequency, the monetary spend, and doing it with the right offer at the right touch point to the right shopper, then and only then we'll be able to earn the customer loyalty. So whether it is for loyalty and promotions, whether it is through digital coupons, and obviously this is a very important pillar when we talk about discounts and rewards that are not necessarily retailer funded, but CPG funded. So very important pillar, taking your POS data, combining it with your CRM in order to allow you to simplify the way and save you time and money in really regaining control over your conversation and doing it through emails, through text, making sure that we are doing one comprehensive solution with a single source of truth for your e-commerce, your fuel, and last but not least, allow you to communicate with your shoppers before they come, as they tender, and as they leave the store. So for those of you who have attended some of our prior webinars, you can definitely appreciate the growth that we've seen, and we are excited to say that we are at 1,700 stores with retailers across the country. And as we do so, obviously, many of which are with UNFI. And when we talk about our ecosystem and what we deliver day in and day out in order to simplify your engagement with various providers, as well as to drive additional ROI, then we can see both the nationally aggregated content from Quotient, from Neptune, from others. Of course, UNFI and AppCard have a significant amount of Brand Plus, as well as UNFI Source Coupon, and our recently launched mutual offering of loyalty promotions that are CPG funded. Obviously, clearing your coupons, making sure that we deliver it across any touch points, whether it is your point of sale, whether it is your e-commerce and your web, whether it is fuel with PDI and Fueland and Boulder Logic and so on and so forth. And of course, also aggregating additional in order to make it as comprehensive as we can. So just before we adjourn, for those of you who may not be familiar with AppCard, we are proud to have been servicing 1,700 independent grocers. We are focused solely on the independent with more than 1 billion transactions a year. And with that being said, the two largest groups in our company, one is our development, which we constantly make sure that we set our independent grocers for success and keep them at par and ahead of their competition, but also having more than 23 members of our team whose sole responsibility is to work with each and every one of you and help in creating campaign, in thinking of what works and what not, share of our knowledge and data. And we'll have Elaine, who've been with AppCard for 7 years and heads the success team for the grocery, who will share some of her experience and insights later in our today's discussion. So what is it that we do in order to help you compete? First and foremost is to help identify and understand your shoppers. When we talk about ROI, we need to make sure that we are building an experience to our shoppers that is easy, that it's fun, that is engaging, and it starts by having the ability to identify the shopper and hence build that relationship. If we do it and we do it right, then obviously that will empower you to regain control over your conversation with your shoppers, and as a result of that, retain these shoppers. And in today's inflation or recession, shortage labor and others, retaining our shoppers is something that is super, super important. And we'll talk about the ability to identify top shoppers. We'll talk about the importance of those top shoppers, because as we identify shoppers and we regain control over the conversation, we'll be able to reduce our advertisement cost and increase our conversion and hence save money. And this is not necessarily shortening on print, but this is really being able to send the right offer to the right shopper at the right touch point. And as a result of that, make sure that we make the most out of each and every of our dollars spent in our communication with our shoppers. Because when done right, we can grow our sales. And when we do it even further, laser focused, then we can retain our top shopper and grow our B shopper and C shoppers at a marginal cost, and we'll show how we do that as well. Last but not least, before we jump in, and in today's world, this is ever more important, and we've started seeing a lot of conversation about that, whether it is on the Shelby report or supermarket news or elsewhere, where people, in particularly with the importance of digital coupons, want to make sure that we address 100% of our shoppers, not necessarily just those that want to download the mobile app or engage digitally, but also those that may be a little challenged technologically, and we want to identify them at the lane and help them make the most out of their participation with surprise and delight and others, and what can be better than introduce additional savings at the lane. So when we talk about loyalty ROI, when we talk about how and what are the steps that we can make in order to influence and make our program profitable. So the first and foremost, let's look about the things that are cost or perceived to be cost. Then we have the cost of the rewards, obviously. And here at AppCard, we firmly believe that the program should not be more than 1% cashback to the shoppers, and hence making it economically viable, but also setting the right expectations. I've had a recent conversation at the UNFI show with a retailer who've said that they've been giving 7.5% and wanted to know how can we help them drive it lower. And obviously, have had conversation and explain how that can be done, not only out of the gate, but also when we have pre-existing programs that may be migrating to AppCard. So making sure that we limit our cost of rewards to not more than 1%. And oftentimes we see the more successful programs being 0.5, 0.6% back. The second is obviously the cost of the program, and whether that is with labor or whether it is the cost of the service and so on and so forth. So these are the costs that we cannot avoid and we need to be aware of, and we want to make sure that we build the growth that will be greater than. And how can we do that? Obviously, there's various KPIs that we would like to drive with a program. Not all KPIs will have the same level. Not all KPIs could live one next to another in terms of setting expectations. But the things that we would want to see with our program, obviously, is increase our frequency of visits or increase the basket size. Obviously, we would like to have them join various promotion participation, in particularly, for example, with Essential Everyday and with private label or other things that we know that have higher margin or drive people towards our meat department or our seafood department or our produce. But here it is important to say that sometimes those KPIs may conflict, right? Because if I have a household of 4 and I want to drive higher average basket, but I also want to increase the visit frequency, that sometimes by increasing the visit frequency, we will actually lower slightly the average basket, but the overall lifetime value of this shopper obviously will increase and will increase dramatically. So setting those right KPIs, something that Elaine and the team definitely work with our stores in order to help drive incremental ROI for the program. In addition to that, digital coupons, making sure that we have access to the richest content available, whether it is nationally aggregated, whether it is through UNFI, whether it is the AppCard team that go ahead and negotiate in addition to the nationally aggregated by us, and having those, because those are discounts that are not necessarily out of pocket for you as a retailer, but at the same time also drive shopper towards increased margin items and department. At the same time, there are things that may or may not be related with our program directly, whether it is introducing of self-checkout, and we've seen a very nice appetite by shoppers to the AppCard NTR and engagement at self-checkout, whether it is save on print. And here, with that regard, it is not only on the weekly ad. We are actually coming with a new interface that will allow us to have shoppers' preference of print receipt, no receipt, email receipt, or text receipt, and as such, help save on those receipt printing paper, which can be incremental over time. And of course, by engaging with CPGs through our team and through UNFI, get additional access for shopper marketing. So designing a program properly, seeing some breakage. So in this respect, making sure that shopper accumulates points, but we've set the points appropriately, and we'll speak to that shortly as well. So not all will redeem, but rather there will be some breakage in order to make it more economically viable. So when we talk about having a program to begin with, and what is it that we actually see, then we see quite a bit of increase of participation. And with that being said, we want to make sure that our grocers are doing at least the 5 fundamentals, whether it is a birthday campaign, whether it is a We Miss You campaign, whether it is cashier contest, whether it is others, but points-based program, for example, and reward reminder. But we wanted to have at least, even if you are too busy, knowing that those are the 5s that are running. And when done right, then we will see that the AppCard a member in your program will be spending and will be on average spending more items per ticket than non-members in the program. And this is something that we see across the board. And here I've just taken from a couple of such examples. But more interestingly is that another thing that we see is not only that they have higher product, but we also see obviously correlation in terms of the basket size. And within the basket size, on average, we see anywhere between 50 to almost 100% more by the AppCard users who would be spending on average as a result of the program. And we definitely, in order to be able to identify at every single transaction, we want to make sure that we offer points or we offer incentive of different sort in order for them to identify every single transaction at the lane. Because when done right, then the next thing that we see with points is that usually the AppCard user will be spending about 50 to 100 percent more than the non-members. But interestingly enough, and we see that across the board, obviously 1,700 retailers, so making it very much of a statistically strong statement, is that when shoppers are redeeming points, we see that the average participation rate as well as the basket increases even further, meaning that shoppers across the board are utilizing their points in order to spend more as opposed to discount their transaction. So obviously for some that would come of a surprise, but what we've seen is that shoppers are utilizing it, for example, to buy something that they could not necessarily afford themselves and they wanted to try, and they've tried it, or to get more items, or so on and so forth. So shoppers, if you run a points-based program, which we obviously recommend, then you'd be able to see that shoppers that spend more with the points redeemed, and usually that would be an additional 25 to 30%. And when calculating that, then we can see that the increase per participating shopper annually on many occasions could reach even the $240 per shopper. And when we multiply that by 8,000 unique shoppers per store on average, or 10,000 unique shoppers per store on average, then this could be a significantly incremental add to your bottom line. Now, let's talk a little bit about top shoppers and why top shoppers are so important, and why in particularly now in days of inflation, we need to really know and understand our top shoppers and retain them. And this is taken out of the AppCard merchant site. Those of you who've been with us, thank you for your business and thank you for your partnership. And those that may not, then we provide our retailers with more than 100 different reports, all in real time, for pretty much anything and everything that happened at the store, since we see 100% of the transactions. So what you see here is taken from the AppCard merchant site, where our grocers are able to identify their top shoppers or any other shopper and see the contribution. So what we see here is that a little shy of 13% of our shoppers are top shoppers, but they represent more than 50% of our business. So today, in a day of inflation, making sure that we able to identify these shoppers, retain these shoppers, drive and migrate shoppers from one tier to another, because top shoppers both visit more frequently as well as spend more. And obviously we would like to retain them. We would like to notify the cashiers that a top shopper is in the lane, and even potentially the store manager in order for them to come and greet and meet that particular shopper. So when we look here at the left-hand side, when creating a shopper migration, for example, we can see that our top shoppers are spending a little shy of $70 per average basket, visit 1.3 times a week. So we want to drive these mid shoppers into a top shoppers and the low into mid. And as a result of that, create a campaign, for example, with low shoppers, we'll say, let's send an offer that is really only for that particular group. That would be anyone who've spent $35 or less on average. If they will now spend $50, we'll give them $5 off of their next purchase, for example. And what we see across the board is that many of these shoppers will indeed utilize that and increase their basket. And we'll also see about 23% that the next 2 or 3 of their transaction will be with a threshold that was higher than their previous one. And obviously for the mid, we'll do 65. And for the top in this example, we'll do spend $100 and get $10 off or something of that nature in order to get them there. At the same time, making use of the data, we would like to make sure that we are able to identify shoppers that have changed their behavior, shoppers that are potentially at risk. And the example that you see on the right-hand side is actually from a single store operator where we were able to run that on a consistent basis, identify shoppers, and at the marginal cost, the retailer was able not only to bring back lost shopper, because in this case, they've had a Myers open at just less than 2 miles away from the store. So we really monitored these shoppers' behavior. We saw when they broke the cadence of their visit, send them an offer, and drive them back. And we can see that with a spend of $1,300, the retailer was able to regain almost $26,000. And obviously the ROI here is very clear, because otherwise these were shoppers that have been lost for the Myers program. This is a different type of program. Again, this happens to be a 28 location grocer of ours. They migrated from a prior program. And what they've seen was very, very high redemption ratio for their own coupons and a significant lift for their private label. We've seen growth in the engagement of these shoppers at the store. We've seen a lift in their bottom line. And of course, making sure that we've mitigated some of their other expenses because we were able to help reduce some of their advertisement costs and increase their conversion. So when we do talk about experience and we talk about the expectations, we've talked a little bit about the anti-discrimination, right? We want to make sure that we address 100% of our shoppers. It really is all about experience and expectations. And when we talk about that, it has to be simple, it has to be easy, it has to be fun. And the AppCard in-lane terminal allows to do exactly that, while the cashier is focused on one thing and one thing alone, which is running as many transactions as we can, as fast as we can. So the AppCard NTR will be there in the lane, will be the shoppers at their convenience will key in their phone number and be able to capture their email, zip code, their name, whichever we want. And even if they haven't provided that in the lane, we have the ability through the text message that they will confirm receiving at the lane. We will prompt them to add their email, to add their address, to add their birthday, and hence allow you to have a full and complete understanding of your shoppers. Once the shopper had identified through the in-lane terminal, now you can have them enroll into your pet club or enroll into your babies club or senior discount right there and then. Again, taking that responsibility away from your cashier. They are busy already by various things that you ask them to do. So allowing the shoppers to do that, but also we've talked about relationship, then really making it very transparent. So the shopper knows how many points she has and how much does she need to spend more in order to unlock her next reward. But also with digital coupons, allow the shopper to see his or her coupons that are personalized for them on the NTR, including the ability to see missed coupons and hear that AppCard chime, ta-da, on the NTR when savings are accumulated. And when we do talk about digital coupons and we talk about the importance of coupons, and obviously with AppCard, not only that we aggregate the richest content available in the industry through, as shown earlier with Quotient, with Neptune, with UNFI, our own sourced coupons and others, with the AppCard NTR, what we see here is actually an example of a UNFI retailer with 66 stores in the Pittsburgh area. And they moved to the AppCard digital coupons. And what you can see with comparison with our prior program, they've seen, thanks to the customer experience in the lane, as well as the richness of content, they've seen an increase of more than 1,000% in their coupon engagement and redemption, which obviously expose them to more shopper marketing and trade funds that otherwise may have needed to be taken or sponsored by the retailer in order to compete with the Walmarts, the Krogers, and others of the world. So talking about all of that, this is great, but we, as mentioned, 23 members of our team, of Elaine's team, are responsible really to and accountable for your program success. So they are responsible to work with you and understand your KPIs and know what's working and what's not, and hence consult in order to help navigate the program in order to achieve the best results at the lowest possible cost. So as I'm just about to introduce Elaine and bring her into the discussion, just to summarize some of the things that you will be able to do once joining the AppCard family, whether it is targeted digital coupons in order to drive higher participation, whether it is points program continuity with the upcoming Thanksgiving turkey campaign, surprise and delight, fuel and rewards program, community rewards, and others. Some are available with our pro program, some are available with our express program, digital punch card for your deli, and many more. Because when we want to do it right, it's not just about loyalty, it really is about multi-channel engagement with your shoppers. As mentioned, again, no discrimination. We want to communicate with all shoppers. They want a mobile app, great, we have one for you to engage. But if they don't want to, we don't want to exclude them. We want to make sure that they are engaged in the lane. We want to make sure that they are engaged through your e-commerce and your website, and allowing for that to go across the board. So with that being said, Elaine, how are you doing?
Hey everyone, nice to meet you, and I'm doing good, Ron. Thanks.
So maybe for those of you that are not familiar with you, couple of words about yourself and your experience with AppCard. It's been almost 8 years, right?
Yeah, so I've been with AppCard for almost 8 years in October, so coming up fast. It's been awesome. I worked with a lot of different clients here. I started out as a customer success manager, so kind of working the day-to-day, working with all of our different retailers on their programs. I've done implementation, so I'm very familiar kind of with the whole customer success organization. Now I work with basically all of our live clients, so some of you guys I know on the call. I've actually met and worked with some of you before. and maybe some of you I haven't worked with before, but we basically work with the different clients here to try to make sure they're getting the most out of the program.
So what does customer success mean? And what are your goals, your team's goals?
Yeah. So customer success, it basically means we want our clients to get the maximum benefits of the program. We review key statistics on how the program with AppCard is performing. So kind of key metrics. We'll share those with you. And then we make recommendations on how you can kind of better leverage the program and the platform to your advantage, and then help you guys monitor results, craft a strategy that'll ultimately help you guys have a program with AppCard that'll improve the business. So my team's is measured basically on how much they can help you. So we look at different metrics that are going to kind of determine, is your program healthy with us, right? So do you have good shopper participation? Are you guys running promotions? Are those promotions successful? So those kinds of things that are going to help your business is how my team is actually measured and like basically evaluated on how well they're working with the different clients.
So in a way, your team's success is joined at the hip with the success of the merchants.
Yep.
Fantastic. So with that being said, obviously you work with, and the team works with various grocers of all sizes. How frequent does your team meet with each and every account?
Exactly. So it definitely depends on a combination of factors, like you said, kind of the size of the business. So if you're a smaller grocer, maybe like 1 to 2 locations, we'll usually have like a formal meeting once a month where we'll kind of go over your goals, promotions we have lined up, and then some metrics on how we performed the month prior. And in between those monthly meetings, there will be other kind of smaller meetings, whether it might be testing promotions, questions that come up, maybe you need help setting up an email blast. So there will be communications probably pretty regularly. But if you're a smaller business, we have a monthly formal meeting. If you're a larger business, 3 locations or more, or if you're on our pro platform, which is kind of our top level of service, you will meet with your customer success manager a little bit more. So it's a little bit more of a closer relationship that we'll have with you. And those meetings will be either weekly or bi-weekly. I would say usually right after you first launch your program, we'll meet on a weekly basis to kind of get things up and running, make sure that you guys get off to a really good start. Timing is key. So really trying to get off to a good start is important in the beginning. So that'll set us up for long-term success. And then once we're kind of comfortable and in a good rhythm, we'll usually kind of then slow down to maybe a more bi-weekly cadence if you're larger.
So with that being said, instead of the store having to go and build a team around us, your team is actually built around the store.
Exactly. Yep. So we'll work with pretty much anybody at the store. Usually we'll work with some of the owners. Sometimes if you guys have like a store manager, we'll work with them on things that kind of happen in the day-to-day. Your pricing coordinator will usually be a key person. So we'll work with your store team on the different aspects of the program that are applicable to them.
Fantastic. So obviously, we are super excited, right? UNFI came up with this unique program of loyalty promotions, which is sponsored and offered through AppCard, all coming from CPGs. This had started late last year and have had quite significant amount of promotions this year, and with a complete calendar down the road. Can you share some of the results and what you've seen from this?
Yeah, so just to kind of like highlight what these offers are, we work with UNFI to bring special digital coupons that are just for UNFI retailers. And we also do loyalty promotions. This is kind of a more new and exciting initiative where you guys are basically given specific promotions that are funded by the CPGs that UNFI kind of helps negotiate. So it's really nice. You guys basically get some savings to pass along to your shoppers that you guys don't have to fund through like a loyalty promotion. So some examples were a Marie Calendar offer we did, buy 2 pies, get a free Ready Whip. Kellogg's cereals, buy 4 products, get $2 off. So different types of promotions like that. The Kellogg's one was one of the more recent promotions that we had. And overall, it's been really positive. We've seen with the Kellogg's promotion across all of the UNFI retailers who participated, a 6.3% sales increase year over year on those products that were part of the promotion. And just compared to the month prior, so month before the promotion started, we saw an 8.7% increase across all the stores. And what's great too is we help you guys with all the communication. So UNFI will work with you to get an email blast set up and kind of help you market that program too. So it's almost like basically just another way to get some more loyalty with your customers with some additional hands.
Fantastic. So obviously, we are at a critical point in the year, right? Back to school is just around the corner, Labor Day, and then off to the holiday season. What should be a grocer looking at when and where rewards, loyalty, engagement is concerned?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing is like there's so many fun promotions you can tie into these different like events or times a year that are easy to kind of think of things, but you want to kind of take a step back and think about what are your business's goals leading up to those holidays or at that time of year. So maybe it's going to be Labor Day and you guys want to try to push sales in the store overall. Maybe you want to push sales in a specific department. Or maybe if you're trying to boost overall sales, you want to kind of think back, okay, what are departments that we're profitable in? Maybe it's the bakery. You guys have high margins in your bakery because you make a lot of things in-house. So you can do something like spend $100 August 31st to September 4th, so during that Labor Day weekend timeframe, and get a free package of bakery, hot dog, or hamburger buns with your purchase. Or you can do something like spend $30 in the meat department and get a free bakery package of hot dog or hamburger buns. So something where you're incentivizing the customer with a reward that's not going to break the bank, but also pushing your store's goals, whether it's to increase sales in a department or overall just have a basket lift. But you want to make sure you do tie those promotions back to your goals so it's easy to measure. So then at the end of the promotion period, we can look and say, okay, did we increase sales in the meat department compared to last year on the same weekend? And if we did, that's an awesome find. And we can kind of plan that maybe for the following Labor Day. And like I said, get into a cadence of having regular promotions that we know work. So it's really important to set up a goal before that holiday starts and then kind of craft your promotional strategy to achieve that goal.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that we've had one occasion where, and this is the beauty and the simplicity in the system as well. We've had one grocer, 2 location that ended up preparing for the holiday season, but they ordered 300 too many lobsters. And what they've done with the help of the account managers, they've entered into the system, they created a text message, and obviously sent and targeted those who have been with or bought at the seafood department. And guess what? 2 hours after, they ran out of lobsters at the store. So even if we are planning well ahead, but the buyer was really excited of a deal and bought a little more, that's okay. We got your back.
Definitely. And another thing too with back to school, a lot of the times is people are busy and they're busy getting their kids ready and kind of getting school supplies and rounding everything up. So one thing I know that's really popular to promote is prepared foods. And those are things with a low shelf life at the store. So kind of to Aran's point, if you want to move product quickly, another way to kind of tie it into like a theme of back to school and try to move that product more quickly.
Fantastic. So I want to open the floor at this point for possible questions. So Ellen, do we have any questions?
We do have one question asking about results from smaller stores. So can Elaine or Aran speak to that?
Yeah, by all means. So obviously, as shared here, this is here on the left. This is actually from a single store operator. We are really focused on working with grocers of all sizes, and we have a team who's solely dedicated to the 1 to 5 locations, and working with many such independent grocers, some that are in store and some that are more in the rural area. So working with stores from $50,000 sales a week and larger than that, and this particular results that you see here is of a similar such store. So Elaine, maybe if you have some comments on that.
No, I mean, I think you're spot on. And like regarding that UNFI promotion with the sales lift, that number that I gave, I think it was 6.3% and the 8.7%. That is across all the participating retailers. So some of the retailers in that group were single store operators, and some were like a little bit larger chains. So that's the average kind of sales lift we saw on that one promotion across all of the banners that participated. But I would say the majority of them were on the smaller side. We do kind of cater to that smaller grocer. Generally, we do have exceptions to that, but I would say most of our clients that are in those campaigns are probably 3 locations or less.
Thank you everyone for your time today. We will have this recording published on our YouTube channel, so will be made available for you to browse it again. Thank you, Liz and the UNFI team, for your continuous partnership, and have a wonderful day.